The QPR podcast is sponsored by Grant Harrod Lerman Davis, accountants and tax advisors for individuals and businesses. The Harrod in that title is Jeremy, who's a partner and mad QPR fan who goes to both home and away games. If you want expert advice and a free consultation, phone Jeremy on 01895 633 033 or go to ghld.uk.com.
QPR, QPR, Six Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for the European Cup.
Hello and welcome to Open All Hours, a QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser. I'm joined tonight by three other QPR fans, and we've got an ex-QPR favourite, a player on the phone. With me in the studio is from ITV Sport, Chris Mendes.
Hello.
Original podcaster, another original podcaster from Independent R's, Paul Finney.
Can't believe I haven't been sacked yet. Thank you.
Neither can we.
Excellent.
And from Kilburn Times, QPR writer, Sean Gallagher.
Hello.
Welcome to podcast. First time?
First time.
Well, hopefully you'll come back again and we won't make it too unpleasant for you. Right, what do I need to do? Before we talk about... there's loads to go on about, actually. One game having gone, one tomorrow, one at the weekend... management, rumours, all the rest of it, and a great interview with Martin Rowlands to get in. Before I do any of that, let me just remind you how you can listen to us, get in touch with us. You can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. Look for the new QPR podcast on Facebook. If you want to look at listen to old episodes, go to qprpod.co.uk. And thank you very much to the sponsors of this podcast, GHLD.co.uk, which is Grant Harrod Lerman Davis accountancy firm. In particular, thank you to Jeremy, who's the H in that, Jeremy Harrod, who's a massive QPR fan and has supported us on the podcast. Right, that's all that done. Friday night, everybody got a nice weekend to themselves to go shopping or to go out with the family. Don't tell me about Friday night, Paul. Tell me what you did on the weekend.
Saturday morning, I got a rope and a churn, and had a great time.
Friday night. Friday night. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm struggling with things. I'm struggling with the atmosphere at times. I'm struggling with the fact that we hit the post twice, and everyone says these things turn games, and they're right. If we had scored and they hadn't scored, we would have won. But then again, if my auntie had had balls, she'd be my uncle. So it's one of them things. At times we don't dominate the games.
Or would she still be your auntie, but with a problem that needed correcting?
I don't care. I haven't seen him for 40 years, and they don't like me anyway, so I don't care.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's just this. The one thing that I don't understand is the Emmanuel Thomas throw-ins. If someone can explain that to me, I'd love to know, because it doesn't work. It's daft and it's insane.
That must be Neil Warnock, isn't it? His influence.
It started before.
Yeah, it did.
Well, he's got a long throw-in, and
to himself.
It's just the law that if you get distance on it, you have to be the one to take it.
Fitzhall-esque, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
what he needs to do is throw it high enough so that he can run into the box and head it by the time he gets there.
Exactly, but Chelsea can throw the ball. I mean, going back to before, their goal was sloppy again, like every goal we consider this season.
It was bad, yeah.
And their fans. I mean, let's face it, they've with it 50 years for that, and they enjoyed it, and it was embarrassing, quite frankly, at times. But
the most embarrassing thing about it was, fair enough, we for 15 minutes in the second half before half time we played quite well, hit the post twice, and then they came out quite strongly in the second half and scored. The most embarrassing thing about it is our response after their goal was there was just nothing there.
Head straight down. Yeah,
we didn't, we sent Charlie Austin and Junior Hoylett on, and kind of felt sorry for Austin because he had no service, and we just did nothing. So I don't know where the spirit is. You look at teams like Leicester in the Premier League, whenever they go down, so many times this year they've come back and they've just got so much pace up front.
You say that, sorry the point, but you're right. I was doing that, I was sitting beside Paul Hull.
The point doesn't come across on the audio, by the way.
Oh, sorry. So you know. And I kind of looked at him when they scored, and I was like, where's it bang in the face? Where's it bang on the ground? When they scored, where's it, come on, let's get back in this? There was nothing.
There's not enough courage in that team, is there?
The heads go. The heads go. When we go behind, the heads go. Sean, what did you think of Friday?
First half, to be fair, I don't think it was a bad performance. I've seen Longo went close twice. Second half, I think Harley Dean got his spot on, really, what he said after the game. I think Brentford wanted it more, and they got what they deserved, really, second half. It didn't surprise me. I expected Brentford to win the game. It was on the back of, 3 straight wins before. I think it wasn't a good performance. It wasn't a good performance at all. Obviously now, fan relations. I watched that video of Ramsey and the players coming off the field. For me, I don't get that. Ramsey's getting pelters and abused, and then the players who actually were on the field and can affect the game were cheered off. I don't get that. I think that's everything that's wrong in modern football, really. I think it's obviously tough times. I feel sorry for Ramsey personally. I mean, you get told you have a consolidation period, and then really, in his best interest, those players would have gone. I think if you got him, if you had a conversation.
Well, that's it, isn't it? The game. What's the last home game where we MK Dons? So the MK Dons game, which I didn't do the podcast last week, and if I had, I would have said without any apology that booing when he made the substitution was an absolute disgrace, and the cheering the chanting for Carl Henry to get sent off was an absolute disgrace. But I won't necessarily go over that tonight. But what I was going to say was the pelters Ramsey was getting at that game, I don't know how many chances we missed before we scored. He can't be there to put the ball in the back of the net, can he? We had the chances. The system we were playing created those chances. We missed, it was saved. That's not his fault. You have to, if you're not liking the performance on the pitch, there does come a point where you have to pick it up with the players.
I agree, but the thing is, there's 3 people that could save Chris Ramsey, to be honest with you. Tony Fernandes, Warnock, and Les Ferdinand. Because
what about Chris Ramsey being able to save Chris Ramsey?
Yeah, but the biggest group of players is the players. They're the ones that should be saving them week in, week out. The last week did not have a derby feel to it at times. It felt like a pre-season friendly. We used to play Brentford many years ago, and we were in the top division. They were much lower down the league. I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm just being honest. It was more like them sort of games. We weren't competing in midfield at all at times. We were letting the defensively, the players are dropping off. It's a zonal thing we're doing. It's just ridiculous. It's not working. We get found out week after week, and most importantly, we just don't seem to have the drive in us. That was a big game. Whether we like it or not, Friday they hate us. It's their big game. Clint Hill responded, Paul responded, but sometimes in midfield, I don't know what's going on with. Why it keeps taking the same players off? Why Henry stays on? There's a few things like that. But you are right about the booing at home. That is wrong. The booing of Ramsey, I don't like either.
How the players' shoulders dropped after that booing in the MK Dons game was palpable. You could feel it. Now, as it happened, we went on to win the game. Fine. But you could feel there was a sense this is not going to help. This is going to have the opposite effect.
But then why is Fernandes, Ferdinand and Warnock not standing with the manager and saying, we have a long-term plan, we have a strategy going on?
I think getting Warnock in didn't help Ramsey at all.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because if anything,
he could cure it though by
it makes the fans even more likely to boo him because they've got someone there. They think, all right, maybe it's a bit closer now. He's going to get sacked, so maybe we can have a bit of a say on it by booing him.
Okay.
And what's this? There's these rumours about Sherwood. Sean, anything you can tell us about that as a member of Her Majesty's Press?
We won't tell anyone.
I heard it from a couple of people, yeah, Sherwood. Well, let's be honest, Ramsey was brought primarily in to be Sherwood's number 2, wasn't it? It was all set up for Sherwood.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Fernandes pulled the plug on that one. Sherwood won in X amount a year. Really...
was Sherwood the man that Fernandes tweeted about when he said he's my dream?
I believe it was
it was Paul Clement.
Paul Clement, and obviously tomorrow night going QPR, we lose at Derby. It's going to be, you should have got your dream manager, isn't it?
Getting Sherwood would be.
He started badly at Derby, didn't he? He started very badly at Derby. He's turned it around, isn't he?
My question is: are things that bad? Or are we creating this situation around us that things are terrible?
Fans have been spoiled.
We're 12th. We're mid-table. We've won 5 games, drawn 4, lost 5. And we said at the start of the season, if you finish mid-table in this division, it's a third, a third, a third. You win a third, you draw a third.
But the thing is, David, the squad that we've got is still, even take out the players that stayed, it's still a financially heavily backed squad. I know people keep saying, "Oh, remember the days of Coleshaw or Slade."
You've got people like Sandro, he's 50 grand a week, whatever, but he just wants to go. He doesn't want to be there.
He's not the only one.
Either.
There's still a lot on big wages. I mean, Paul's a cost 1.2 million, and he's on big wages as well. So, and that I imagine that Perch would be on pretty good money as well, and other people. So we're still let's be honest.
Championship footballers are on good money these days.
But you can't.
Ones that play for us.
Well,
You can't blame Ramsey for those players because he didn't sign them.
No,
Ferdinand is in charge of recruitment, isn't he? I think people kind of forget that, don't they?
Yeah,
and
but-
I think Ramsey, if you're going to start blaming people, it should be joint blame.
Absolutely.
Ramsey gets the full brunt of it.
But Les,
as a team.
But Ramsey's I think personally, I know Ramsey at times doesn't help himself, and I would say it to his face because some of the time. But I would say he's taking the flak for Ferdinand. Yeah. He's also taking the flak for Fernandes because while Chris is getting booed, everyone's leaving Tony Fernandes alone.
Tony's very quiet on Twitter now, isn't he? I put a number last year of Harry publicly backing him for the right man. Where's Tony? Where's Tony backing Chris now on Twitter?
Only someone like Tony Fernandes would employ. Like Sherwood, a manager who's lost 8 of his first 10 Premier League games after spending loads of money in the summer.
But why do people want him? What is his record?
Well, my worry is the coaching staff at the club want him because he's Les's mate and he's Ramsey's mate. So I worry this movement is coming from them. And we said when Sherwood got appointed at Villa, we sat around this table. Well, not this table because we weren't in this venue, but we sat around this table and we said we dodged a bullet there. We do not want Sherwood, even if it means us going down.
I'd say the only one thing about that is, let's be honest, Fernandes listens to a lot of what the fans say on Twitter. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes.
If you think, is he going to take Sherwood? Well, if he'd have said it in February, I think Sherwood and Ramsey together as a combo would have kept QPR
Are
up.
they talking to Sherwood with a view to Sherwood being the manager, or with a view to Sherwood being an assistant manager? Or
His
Why
ego.
no? Why no?
His ego, you're having a laugh. Sherwood is
Sherwood's got too big an ego for that.
Rioch and Houston.
Yeah, that was different because Rioch was still the manager. But no, but to me, do you know what Tim Sherwood was more famous than anything? You might not know this, but Blackburn got offered Zidane when he was manager.
I know.
And Jack Walker said, "Why do we need Zidane when we've got Tim Sherwood?" And that's because it can't be his manager record. The thing is it's another back page. I mean, to be honest, why aren't we looking at the guy at MK? Why aren't we looking at young up and coming managers down in the league?
Why are we looking at anyone? Why are we looking at anyone?
If we are going to go down any road,
Were you going to say that? Sure.
It's the structure, isn't it? Managers. I mean, Harry Redknapp. I mean, he's not. Is he a bad manager?
Well,
Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes has done a good job at every single club he's been at.
I didn't realise Paulo Sousa was top of bleeding.
There's another one who wasn't good enough.
You and I sat round a table when we had kind of a fans group forum with Les Ferdinand and Chris Ramsey in the summer.
We did.
Which has been the minutes of which have been on all the sites.
It wasn't secretive.
And they said to us, first priority, not do a Wigan. As in, first priority, there is with the squad they had at that time, at that moment, with Bad Eggs, Joey Barton, there is a real possibility we could go down again. First job we need to do is stabilise the ship and not be that team. That's, we're only a third into the season or whatever, but I don't think there's a massive danger of that. So where all of a sudden are we getting off thinking that this isn't where we deserve to be and where we should be?
It's the fans' expectations, isn't it?
But the expectations are only buoyed by the fact we still spend millions of pounds on players. We still spend 3.5 million on Swindon player. We still spent money in Perch. We still spent.
But that was
not Perch. Sorry,
but then they should have taken. Really, in my view, Austin and Phillips they deserve their move. Austin should have been given his move. They should have accepted 12 million for him. Phillips 7, I think, region of 7 million. You know, I mean, look at Green potentially going wages, etc. You could have got, for Chris's benefit, it would have been good for him for those players to go.
It's not like Austin's been playing the last 6 games. But we were all saying, I'm sorry, expectations were raised when we kept Austin. He hasn't been playing for 6 weeks.
Going back to what you said, if we were playing Harriman, if we were playing Doherty, if we were playing youngsters from the youth team and hadn't brought players in, then yes, the patience would be there. But because we still,
I don't think it would.
But Chris can't.
Chris might be lower in the table.
You think so?
Yeah, but Chris has to play them, doesn't he? People are saying, "Oh, why is he not playing the youngsters?" Then, but he has to play the players he thinks.
But
he has to play them.
That's the impression
I believe he believes that we would go down if we played those players. Yeah. That's why I don't think he's playing.
But my point, sorry, I'm making it really badly because clearly I'm daft. But the point is, we still spent a lot of money for a championship team at the start of the season. We did spend money,
but maybe we needed to spend it so that we didn't do a Wigan. Maybe that should be the expectation. Let me make it clear. I'm actually not a Ramsey fan. I'm a. None of us know. Let's actually give a chance, because we've had 5 years of not giving anyone a chance. and just bang, 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 pull the trigger? I don't know, but I believe it will take 2 years to find out. So let's give him the time to find out.
I think that he's gone past that point, though. Now, the fans are look at that reception. You'd think the reception he got. I mean, I'm not pro Ramsey. I mean, I don't need to defend him. He's been involved in the game nearly 40 years. But the reception he got off that field coming off Fulham, it's disgusting. Really. Keep your family club. You mean support your players?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. Why are you then clapping off the players? I mean, how does he feel really? Why does he even want to?
If his family are watching that,
I don't know what he's actually done.
He said his sister was looking at her like she was upset. Some of the kind of she's just don't read it. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, he's
getting it. It's not him.
He's getting it because everybody else. There's an element of untouchability. No one's going to give it to Ferdinand. No one's going to give it to Warnock.
With Les, I quite like Les. Yeah, but 2 weeks he spoke to us with the opening of the Dome event consolidation. I mean, we're not going to walk the league. Come on, let's stay with this team. I mean, we're going to build. And then 2 weeks later, it's changed. Why is that changed in this promotion bid? And he's saying Chris must raise his expectations. Well, we know Les's boss is having a word with them, obviously, aren't they? But it's a bit like everyone's just putting everything on Chris, and isn't other people not accountable?
But that's been the problem for years at Rangers. No one's took responsibility for actions. No one's ever stood up and actually said, you know what, we've spent £250 million, we're massively in debt, we've gone backwards, it's kind of my fault. Everyone just sort of points a finger at someone else, keep sacking people, reload, sack, reload, sack, reload.
And the problem at Rangers is not the coach and those 11 players on the pitch. It's off the pitch.
Possibly.
I was looking at this today. Who do you think a QPR manager, all-time manager, the highest win ratio ever?
Don't say Redknapp.
I know this. I was quite surprised.
Not Chilton.
No, it's not Chilton.
Dowie quite high.
Dowie, yeah. Ian Dowie.
Oh, that was the same thing, wasn't it? Ninth in the league, and then he's...
And he wanted a cup match as well, and got sacked after winning the cup match. We don't do cups at QPR, get out.
All right.
But just say one last thing about Chris Ramsey. What everyone says about him, and if he goes after tomorrow night, he is a thoroughly decent human being, and he doesn't deserve the abuse that he's getting, in my opinion. Whether that's good enough to make him a good manager or not, I don't know. But there's very few decent people in football, and Chris is one of them. And it's a shame it hasn't worked. It's not working so far, and I would have loved it to work. I would have loved him and Les and the whole project.
Why are we talking about a manager going when we're 12th? This is insane.
Because they will press a panic button tomorrow night if we get done by Derby.
I don't think they will. I just think there is a groundswell amongst fans talking to fans, thinking that they will. I don't think the club have any intention of getting rid of him.
The club have causes, haven't they? I mean, the fans have been they've been lavish, and with big name signings and expectations, and that's what it is. That's the culture that's set in.
The reason why the fans are doing what they're doing half the time is because there's no leadership at the club. There is no one talking, there's no one making big statements, and there's a lack of leadership, and therefore it's filtering down, and everyone's confused, in my opinion. Sorry.
You said this will be the last thing we say on Ramsey. It definitely won't be. It'll be the last thing we say on Ramsey for 10 minutes because we're going to go to Martin Rowlands now, who, with a bit of luck, is on the phone. Hi, Martin. Thanks for joining us. QPR fans will be really pleased to hear from you. Before we get into the questions, what are you doing with yourself these days?
Not too much, to be honest with you. Just sort of enjoying retirement, spending quite a bit of time with my family. Taking my boy to football and the girls to dancing, but apart from that, not really too much, mate.
Are you getting to watch Rangers at all?
I've been seeing the odd game, yeah. I've not been up too often. Like I said, I haven't taken my boy football and that, but obviously keeping a keen interest and trying to keep my eye on things as best as possible.
Well, we've just had quite a heated debate about the how the fans are feeling at the moment, and Chris Ramsey and that discussion that's ongoing. What's your take on the first part of the season for Rangers?
Well, obviously there's a lot of change that has happened from obviously the end of last season and through to this season in the turnover of players and stuff. So I did always feel it was going to be a bit of an edgy start. And to be fair, there's been a few good results in there, but there's also been some real bad ones. And when the bad ones have happened, they've been real terrible performances, where the side seem to have lacked fight and seem to have lacked passion and energy, which really is inexcusable for playing professional football, but also the money they're getting paid. And the bad results have been terrible performances, obviously, but there has been some good results in there as well. So you can't take that away from the management and the players as well. I mean, it's been very topsy-turvy, but obviously I speak to a lot of the fans as well, a lot of them are my friends, and I know there's quite a bit of unrest of people thinking about, obviously, the management and Chris Ramsey and the coaching. But obviously time will tell, but obviously they're looking at recent performances, and the two last performances that have been on the TV don't really bode well for what the fans like, and obviously being a fan myself and knowing what they want 110%, given in by every player every week with passion and desire, and that's what seems to be lacking from the outside looking in.
John Mack on Twitter has a question for you. Is Ramsey the right man at this time?
Good question.
Nice, easy one.
It's a very good question. It's hard to say. From what I hear from people in and around the club, he's an extremely good coach, and he's very good with the players and dealing with them day to day and stuff. But obviously, I've not had much dealings with Chris Ramsey at all, so it's hard for me to pinpoint, say, is he the man for the job? Time will tell with results and things like that. And obviously, being a fan, as the guy who's asked me the question, he's probably looking, as we are, at the desire and passion and thinking, why can he not get that out of the players? And obviously a lot of the players that are there now are players that they have brought in. So don't really know if he's definitely the man for the job, but wouldn't like to say he's not the man for the job. Obviously time will tell.
Jury's out. Jury's out, you're saying. We had Rob Green on last week, and he said we don't know which way it's going to go yet because we're only 12 games in or whatever it was then, and we're a new team and we need time to gel, which fans are used to hearing. What's your view on that? Is that a legitimate thing for a player to be saying after, sort of whatever it is, 3 months of the season?
To a point it is, but you'd like to think that they've been together since obviously the start of July for pre-season. You're now 4 or 5 months in where everyone's been together and they should know each other very well and know. I mean, obviously they had a few injuries recently with Charlie's not injured, which doesn't help. But obviously senior players like Rob, Charlie, you're expecting them to step up to the plate now and bring the new guys through and basically show them that this is how it is here. This is the passion and the desire you need to show week in, week out. And I just feel that hasn't been there. Looking into it myself, I don't feel that that's fully been there, and maybe it's starting to show in results and performances, especially away from home, when you really do need to dig in.
Martin, one of the things that fans think is lacking at the moment is a lack of leadership on the pitch. How important is that in a league like the Championship? Say when you go a goal down.
It's massive. It's massive, no matter what league you are or whether you play in the World Cup, where you need leaders out there and people when it does start to go tough, you have people that are going to pull their sleeves up and get everyone together, get the team spirit going, and basically make sure that you become hard to beat. And that's what it seems that we're not particularly hard to beat at the moment, and that's something that obviously they need to get very difficult to beat. And then with people like Charlie, Matty Phillips, there's goals in the team. I mean, J. Emmanuel Thomas has scored a few goals as well. There's goals there, but obviously you've got to become hard to beat because obviously away from home in the Championship is an extremely tough league, and that's basically ultimately your away form determines whether you have a real good season or whether you can come right up against it.
Hi Martin, it's Paul here.
Hi.
How there, fella. The question I'm going to ask is a bit of a strange one, which is unusual for me, he says. But what was the special bond that you had with yourselves, like with Kevin, Birch, Cookie, all the Ainsworth, all them players? Because none of you guys were massive money, but it seemed that you really got hurt when we lost games. You can see it in your faces, you leaving the pitch and that there. Is it purely about money, or am I just being naive thinking that?
I'm not necessarily sure it's just about money, because obviously the game is changing constantly and there's a lot more money coming into the game all the time. But what I would say is, no matter how much money we was on back then or we would be now, I think the fans knew, and we knew in each other, we knew what we was going to give every single game, and we loved obviously playing for QPR. We were all mates, we're all still mates, and we got that togetherness and that team spirit. And I think if you can get the team spirit and build the team spirit, people when they go on the pitch, they're prepared to run through brick walls for each other, for the club, for the fans, and it becomes irrelevant to what you're earning or or your status. You know, I mean, if you look at the top sides and the top clubs, all them people could just hang their boots up tomorrow and walk away, but they don't, because they have the desire and passion and hunger to better themselves and go further. And I think sometimes that's lacking. Sometimes people are happy to pick up a big paycheck, get beat 1-0 and go home and think, oh, well, we'll go into work next week and still get a big paycheck. You know, it's got to hurt. That's one thing. It's got to hurt when you get beat.
Hi, Martin. Sean here. I'm just wondering what you think of kind of how the fans have been this season. There's been quite a toxic atmosphere at Loftus Road, just most of the season, if I'm honest. Obviously away as well, and I don't know if you saw the video coming off. The players were clapped, and Chris Ramsey got pretty poor reception from the QPR fans, and kind of booing during games. How does that affect a player? Because obviously you've been that experienced, and I know maybe the bond was better those days. But how does that affect a player? And do you think the fans should be doing that? Or?
Well, the fans have always been magnificent. I mean, home and away, the fans have always been magnificent. And I know, speaking to people, there is a bit of an atmosphere of people are starting to get frustrated. And obviously they know that some of these people are on big money. They're getting frustrated because they're not seeing the amount of input they should be getting for the money they're getting, which is obviously gets people's back up, and they don't like to see that these people are getting well paid. All you got to do is try 100%, you know, to earn your wages. It's been going on for a while. Obviously, speaking to a lot of fans, they loved the Championship before, because obviously there's regular games every Tuesday, Saturday, and it's very competitive. And then the few years in the Premier League became very difficult, because there's a lot of games obviously got beat, and then fans start to get a bit dejected and feel down, because obviously they're going every week to Loftus Road and they're not expecting to win. And I think the turnaround of people's thoughts hasn't fully changed, and the performances hasn't made them feel that I don't know what the word, maybe that love and that passion again inside them to keep really wanting to go every week, because they're seeing such a passionate team, and it doesn't seem to be there right now.
Martin, before you go, cheer us up a bit. Let's take you back sort of 8, 10, 12 years. What are your happiest memories from your time at the club? You played, I think, 150, 160 games, something like that. Great many years. What's your best memory from your time as a player?
Best memory was Sheffield Wednesday away.
Mine too.
Basically, that whole season was just phenomenal. I signed that summer. I mean, I had a broken leg, and Ollie signed me with a broken leg, gave me Siakon, and it just felt home, you know. Just everybody was just very passionate week in, week out. The fans were amazing. We got such a great team spirit between us that, I mean, we would have done anything for each other in that season. And then it all ultimately came together when we played at obviously Hillsborough that day, and we won 3-1 and got promoted to from Division 1 to the Championship. And no, that was probably one of the best days of my whole football career, that season, and obviously ending on that day, that was one of the best things. And there were some great days after that of some great performances we had in the Championship and stuff, but probably one of my greatest days and memories is obviously from that day. It meant a lot to all of us, because the club had come through a very turbulent time of administration not too many years before that, like going out in the FA Cup to Vauxhall Motors, and obviously that season really like pushed it on. They just missed out the year before in the playoff final away to Cardiff at the Millennium, and obviously that season we pushed on, got to the Championship, and the club's sort of progressed a lot since then. It's sort of seen a bit of a backward step now, but hopefully things can turn around with the right people in charge and push back on to get the club back in the Premier League where everyone wants to see it.
It was also very nice at Sheffield Wednesday to put the score up halfway through the game of the Bristol City match as well that day. I don't know if you know.
Exactly. Well, that spurred us on even more when they was putting them scores on, because obviously we knew we had to win, because Bristol City were at home. I can't remember who they was at home to, but we knew that we had to win that game. We couldn't rely on anything going against us, and we got a good start.
That was unbelievable, was it, during a game to do that? I mean, Jesus, I've seen some things at Football League. Sorry, Martin, it was a personal gripe of mine.
Martin, and we've had a question on Twitter from Kevin Gallum, which we'll finish with. Genuinely he wants to know whose nose is bigger, yours or Gareth Ainsworth's?
that's an absolute no contest. Gaz is bigger, but I'm happy to take Kev's word of Gonzo, and I just want to put a question back to him, just to see, is he still getting his back waxed every week, or is he we're going with the hairsuit these days?
Fine. We will ask him that on Twitter tomorrow. You're not on Twitter, I don't think, but we'll ask him on your.
Twitter. No.
We'll ask him on your behalf.
No problem.
Martin, thank you very much. I know you were trying to come in the studio with us tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, got waylaid earlier today, but no, I'd love to come up at some point, guys. And
more than welcome, big man.
Obviously, spend the whole time there, but I'd like to do that in the near future, definitely.
Please do. Martin, really good to speak to you. Thanks a lot. And,
thanks, Middlesbrough.
Yeah, come on again soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
How you say?
Okay, right. We are, believe it or not, we wound on so long in the first half that we're up against it. So let's move on to R's End. We can have a bit of an extended R's End just because we like getting Gabe really anxious and worried because we know we're on a time limit. Chris, anything and everything you haven't brought up, would like to talk about, anything you think we need to sort of examine in the R's End of the show? I'm
a bit disappointed. I'm not one of these fans who's like, I'd never boo a manager, and I don't think Ramsey they should get rid of him. He should be given a bit more time. But I would like to see Yun back in the side. I quite liked him when he played, and I don't know. I just think even if he played in front of Konchesky or left wing, he's quite an exciting player. He's pacey. I think he'd be good at this level.
I think like Traore, he's actually as a left winger or something. I think he could benefit from that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Paul Konchesky. He's had a few poor games, but I think I know he's had a poor game. I think he said himself at Brentford, but I think he was playing fairly well recently until not. And obviously his experience, he sees he needs that experience in the team, doesn't he? Because it was Paul 34, 35. And he's quite harsh on Yun though, because to be fair, Yun done quite well at Championship before, especially towards the end of that promotion season, and he was quite decent in the Premier League as well. So yeah, maybe potentially left wing, because obviously bringing Junior Hoylett on could you not argue that Yun's probably maybe potentially more effective in that kind of role? Yeah.
And Konchesky's the only player who's grown hair in his 30s.
Yeah.
Every other player is the reverse, but that's what's happened with him.
I'm not talking about her.
Another thing I want to see. So I was at the game in the press area on Friday, and I wrote a match report, and I was just reading a couple of other match reports, and all of them were just mentioned that the pressure's growing on Chris Ramsey, and that just I didn't even think about that at the time. I just thought, I don't know. I've not heard anything from the club saying he's under pressure. Like he said at the beginning of the season, he had to consolidate. We're in 12. I just think that probably doesn't help his cause, where there is that.
I just don't know whether this pressure is actually real, or it's fans talking to fans.
There is also a couple of things that need to be discussed as well. Who are the players listening to? Because does Les go in the dressing room? Does Neil go in the dressing room?
Well,
and does Chris do you know what I mean?
Luongo did an interview before the Brentford game where he said, Warnock's influence is growing a little bit now, so Ramsey will say a few words before the game and at half time, and then Neil will come in and have a chat as well.
That's just mad.
Yeah, it is a bit.
It is ridiculous.
So therefore it goes back to what we said earlier on, of the players are looking and going, I don't really know who it is.
Well, you got Charlie Austin tweeting, looking forward to working with Neil Warnock. Incredibly disrespectful to Chris Ramsey? I think so.
What could it be on the other side of it? He's actually looking forward to being coached by someone who he respects. I don't know, but yes, you can look at that different ways, I suppose. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
I don't agree with this. Obviously, you look at Twitter now, and it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's just ridiculous. So
it is interesting.
Sean, this is something we've talked about a few times. The move to bring Warnock in. What's your take on it, and where did it come from?
I don't agree with it. I think it's a backward step. I mean, he left. These are the same fans who kind of forced him out on Twitter a few years ago. It was 2012.
Do you think the fans forced him out?
Yeah, I do, 100%. Social media at the time. Then Fernandez. I mean, the next thing was to bring Mark Hughes in, experience, and obviously. 100%. Let's be honest. I think Neil done a good job in the Championship. Yeah, to be fair, he probably deserved more time then. To get rid of Warnock, then Fernandez is thinking, let's get a higher profile manager in. I can attract Bobby Zamora. I can attract Jurul Cisse. You're not going to attract those players in Neil Warnock, are you?
No, you might get players that might actually care.
But that's the point I'm making. It's just one of big name,
He kept
big name. Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
No, it's all about big name players and.
But Warnock, to be fair,
Warnock wanted Chris as his number 2 at Palace last season, but it's a strange one for me because I presume.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Do you think the club brought him in, or Ferdinand and Ramsey brought him in?
Speculate too much. I think it was said to Chris that it'd be good to you to have a helping hand. He's not going to come out and he obviously got to support the thing. You're not going to. It's the first time he's got a head coach role, and it was a big opportunity. He's worked hard to get it.
Yeah.
Warnock's come out at the start of the season on TalkSport and said Chris is not the right man. They could go
Did he say that?
They could go and do. That's why I find it flabbergasting.
Did he say that?
He said that they need someone experienced, and they could go down to League One.
They need someone experienced,
and they could go
with
down
a
to League
Yorkshire
One.
accent.
Yeah, they go down
maybe
to
lives on the south coast.
Good at podcasts.
He's just been texting.
When he was questioned about it, Chris says he didn't even realise Warnock made those comments. So, yeah, okay. So you obviously got to be clever, and sometimes the managers not reveal stuff. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it's
a very food for thought podcast, isn't it?
I think it's a ridiculous move bringing back in. Nothing against him, but his days are long gone.
I feel sorry for Ramsey because, like you said, we've had Mark Hughes in charge, who's a good manager and didn't do well. Redknapp has done well elsewhere, and it's just the people that are part of a system that's failing. Like Barton's gone to Burnley, he's their best player.
But it makes me laugh. You know about Barton? Oh, we should have kept Barton and Zamora. At the time, it's good. It's a clean start.
Exactly, yeah.
We got rid of Joey Barton, who on £65,000 a week was having arguments with club legends on Twitter. Bobby, he's a great goal, but he's 34. Was it 35, 34? He's got a bad knee, bad back. So we've got to get rid of those high wages off, and now you want them back.
But we're not doing that a lot. We're always looking to the past to look to the future.
That's exactly it. I think the point of Carl Henry, okay, he's not playing well, and I feel like someone needs to defend him, kind of thing, because there's always a scapegoat, isn't it? It's because obviously it's like, Chris, he's always picking him. The reception he's been getting. It's just there's short memories, isn't there? Last season, the Premier League.
Yeah.
Who was one of QPR's most consistent players? I'm not saying by any stretch. You know what you're getting with Carl Henry, don't you?
But even your worst player, don't cheer for him to be sent off.
What's he thinking when he goes home? He chats to his family. I can't believe this. If for real, Carl Henry's one player who I'll see always give 110% in that pitch, and I think this absolutely. I mean, these so-called fans, so-called fans booing him, it's disgusting.
Finney, you're ours end.
Well, just going back to Carl Henry thing, I think in the Premiership he looks a better player because he shadows really well. He therefore puts people off the game better. In the Championship, when you're looking for him to get the ball, to compete, to move it, to pass it, he's not.
Paul. Sandro didn't come back to the end of August. Fitness issues. The only player who can kind of play the role was Carl. So people call him for fouling, who can't protect a back four. He's got a lovely pass in him, but he's limited in that. He's not a defensive midfielder. And if you have a fouling and a tozer, that's light, isn't it?
We need a leader, yeah. And then we don't. We lost that with Barton. Maybe
to be fair, I'm not saying Ramsey. So I'm not saying that Henry deserves what he's getting. But what I'm saying,
he's limited, but he's not.
I'm also saying he's not putting in great performances. Well, that's due to there's too much pressure on him, or there's more expected of him. I don't know, but maybe they balance the team.
I'd agree with that, but there's a massive jump between a player not putting in great performances and calling for him to be sent off every time he speaks to the referee.
But I didn't call for him to be sent off.
You get a bit more time on the ball.
Not every time. You know what I'm saying.
Didn't Joey Barton say on the? He said something about, I think Sean Derry brought up in your podcast about when Joey was booed against Liverpool, how that psychologically affected him. Still to this day he talks about it. When the Liverpool game were on 3-2, he was getting. It was bad.
Yeah.
I know it was really bad. Was
he went off?
He went off.
We changed the game when he went
3-2,
off.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But see, even that, I know Barton wasn't a massively popular figure there, but I don't think you should do that.
It can't help the players. It can't.
It's negative all round.
But then Joey wasn't exactly forward and backward, or backward coming forward against Warnock.
He was one of those things. Yeah.
Anyway,
go on, Paul.
Yeah, thank you for that. You helped me out there. I'd just like to say, there's a few years ago at Stoke, my friend's son had a terrible time. I talked about it in the podcast. You won't remember this. And he
got a shirt?
Yeah, and there was a lot of trouble. He didn't want to go back, a young lad. He's mascot Saturday, so Alan Blue's son, enjoy your day on Saturday, and I'm delighted you're mascot. He's also from Northern Ireland, and I'm going to France with his dad in the European Championships, and we're going to get drunk, but enjoy your day Saturday.
Only for the group stage.
Yeah, Friday was weird. You go back to Friday. I thought the mood amongst the fans was a wee bit strange. I was talking to an American guy who listens to the podcast who came up and spoke to me at half time on Saturday. And I got on with him, and he came over to do his study in London because of QPR. And it's just a shame that we can't give more backing to the team, despite anything. Perhaps we should just ignore some things and just back the team, just sing a club's name, just do something different. Booing is so... My friend watched it on TV, he's a Rangers fan, and obviously most of my friends are, and he said he felt quite embarrassed by the booing because it's not the QPR that he knows and he cares about, and it's not really the QPR way. Family club, you shouldn't boo.
Yeah, obviously there was, fair enough, seeing Birchman Gallen songs. There was no real song bar Charlie Austin, Charlie when Charlie come on. Was there any song about the current QPR team? And he supported them. Like Jet, he's been doing well recently.
Well, we can even go back to singing
it's like, is there any real support for the players now? There is some good characters in that team. That's only got Rob Green in goal. I know Nedham's having... Nedham is captain. He's had a poor season.
Yeah.
Is he getting the pelt? Was it Carl Henry against MK Dons? Carl Henry was probably QPR's best player at that point.
Yeah.
One misplaced pass. Why? Well, we know why Carl Henry's getting it, obviously, because they think Chris Ramsey's favourite is Carl Henry.
Yeah.
The manager isn't favourites; he just thinks he's better suited to that. And that's the one thing I say about Chris. He doesn't get swayed, but he'll pick who he thinks, and he'll make those subs that he thinks is the. Do you know what I mean? No matter what fans, I think when he took Luonga off and brought Leroy Fer on, which was met with raucous boos at 0-0.
But we need to change the
And look what happened.
We need to change it. I don't care what it is.
Look what happened.
The Thewin things it's not working.
Yeah, there was obviously something. He obviously has to take criticism. I think he knows he needs to improve.
Plus, we can't defend for Toffee.
I'm going to let Sean have the last word in a minute. My R's end is going to be statistical based, just dealing in facts, right? I'm going to read you out something that we did in May, and maybe it will sort of be pause for thought, whatever.
Food for thought.
So, after we got relegated in May, we did a survey of our listeners and QPR fans, and we asked them a series of questions. We got 314 responses, which is quite a lot. And this is what people said. And now, in the context of what's been happening, you might find this interesting. Who do you think is most to blame for QPR's relegation? 40% said Tony Fernandes. More than any other answer. The players 14%, Harry Redknapp 38%. What do you think should be the club's number one priority for next season? This is where it gets interesting. Establishing a long-term plan, 71%. Promotion, 9%. Only 9% of people thought getting promoted was a priority. Where do you think the club will finish in the Championship next season? Mid-table, i.e. not playoffs or not relegated, 58%. So 6 out of 10 people thought finishing mid-table, about where we are now, was realistic. First or second, 2%.
You're forgetting one thing, though, David. The club halfway through the season changed the mantle for everything by saying we're pushing for promotion. So it doesn't matter what
change the goalposts. That's what I'm sorry for Chris.
Problems come from upstairs.
I'm just saying. I'm just reminding everyone what we thought was reasonable and what our expectations were 4, 5, 6 months ago, whatever it was.
QPR fans really, on the whole, really want Chris Ramsey? I think it all stems from... I mean, they're just saying Les and him get on well. They're taking that, aren't they? And I never feel... I don't know about you three. I've never felt Chris Ramsey has the full support of QPR fans.
No, I agree.
For whatever reason.
Gabe, our producer, is having kittens because we need to finish. So, Sean, what's your final point as our guest this evening? You're under pressure now.
I'm under pressure, yeah.
Come on, you got a whole page of notes here.
All right.
Well, we can finish with predictions for Derby and Preston.
We lost to Derby on Friday, but we'll beat Derby on Tuesday. Hey.
Have you been working on that?
Okay, so...
I mean, Derby have no reason to beat us whatsoever, apart from the fact we didn't employ the manager and we beat in the playoff final.
Let's go how many points? How many points from the Derby game and the Preston game? Sean?
3.
Paul?
I would say 3.
Chris?
5.
Stop being an idiot.
No, honestly,
3.
I think 3 as well.
I think we'll lose at Derby.
We'll all take
I think
that.
we want to see it. It's going to be a tough game at Derby. You know what I mean? What the last thing Chris needs is a 3 or 4-0 there. The players have to really put on a display there. And it'd be nice if they could go and get a point there or something. Just put on the display. I think Tom Ince is out injured. They've got a few injuries, and just go and defend. I mean, I think I mentioned actually. I know Paul briefly. Grant Hall, last three games,
He's been great.
He's been absolutely outstanding.
Oh, yes, I'm doing this.
I'm trying to stop Paul having the last word on this podcast. He can't resist it. He has to be the last voice on this podcast.
Derby fans, if they win tomorrow night, will take the piss miraculously out of it. The hammers, they will take the piss, they'll hammers, but no one can take away that day in May, no matter what happens tomorrow. That's all I'm saying.
Don't know if it was worth the wait for that last comment, Paul, but look, thanks. You can come back next week. Thank you for listening. It's been the QPR Podcast. The QPR Podcast is a West 12 Media and Burble Media production. The QPR Podcast is sponsored by Grant Harrod Lerman Davis, accountants and tax advisors for individuals and businesses. The Harrod in that title is Jeremy, who's a partner and mad QPR fan who goes to both home and away games. If you want expert advice and a free consultation, phone Jeremy on 01895 633 033 or go to ghld.uk.com.
QPR, Chris Rangers are on the